Update 12 has been out for a while now for Hell Let Loose, so I think it's time to give it a review, let you guys know what I think of it. And if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more, but let's get into it. So let's start with Remagen, and a lot of us content creators, when the map was announced, we sort of did give our opinion that the bridge would be a bit of a nightmare to cross, with artillery being able to shell it, tanks and AT guns hitting it from the beach, machine guns set up, and say the German snipers and everything up on the cliffs. But really we needed to play it to see how it would actually play out. But yeah, the bridge just sucks. It is a nightmare. I think the first time I played Remagen, I spawned on an outpost on the bridge and then I died just 5 times in a row, just all from artillery. And yeah, the bridge just, it can be a nightmare. I have had some good fights on the bridge, including underneath the bridge as well, so it can be good, but it can just feel quite miserable. Also, a lot of people thought that airheads would be the savior for the bridge problem, we'll call it. But the airheads can only be placed when the middle cap point is active in these tiny areas. So they're not really that effective because people will hear the plane and they will spot the airhead, or at least they should spot the airhead. I've also seen people trying to get a huge amount of players in these tiny areas on the other side of the river to sort of capture the other middle points when it's not the bridge, but this really just flat out doesn't work. I've seen like 3 squads holding this little section near the river, but you can just get 1 squad and it completely offsets the work or what those 3 squads are doing. It's absolutely pointless. When it comes to the other areas of the map, I do like the German side, the big cliff and the little town, especially the cliff area, because it offers this extra verticality that just hasn't been seen in any other Hell Let Loose map, so it does feel really unique, and I do enjoy fighting on the German side. The American side, it kind of feels like a cross between the outskirts of like Hill 400 and Hurtgen, sort of smushed together a little bit. I think the point on the left hand side of the map plays quite well. On the far right, where you get a little bit of woodland and it's just sort of an open area, that is quite difficult to navigate and fight through. But overall, Remagen Day, it's just so mixed because of the bridge. I think if they added in like a pontoon bridge or 2 pontoon bridges, that could help, but it's something they sort of need to test. Postscriptum did this with their Arnhem map and it does help, and that map, I've never seen it get stuck at the bridge. The Germans always manage to push into the city when they're fighting from the bridge side. So the night version, it has just a lot of fog everywhere, which really reduces your visibility. While it is definitely set at night, it's mainly more foggy than night weather, because of the limit in visibility due to the fog. If you set this during the day and still had this thick fog, it would probably play the same as it does now in the night version. It does help to cover infantry movement, so the bridge is not as bad. It can still be bad though, especially with the artillery. It also helps to cover airhead placement, but if people listen out for the planes, they could still catch it. Generally though, in my opinion, the night version is more enjoyable than the day version. Foy at Night. This map looks just so damn good in the night because it doesn't have the fog that most of the other night maps have. This strangely makes Foy at Night have better visibility than the day version, because even the day version has fog, but not as the thick close-up fog that the night maps have. But because it is at night, you can hide amongst the trees a little bit easier, so visibility is sort of better and worse compared to the day version. But yeah, in my opinion, Foy at Night, it is one of the best looking maps. The moon is, well, it's visible in all the night maps, to be honest, but it's out bright, there's no fog, so it can just light everything up. And I guess the moon is glad it's on show. I mean, what do you think, Moon?
One time, I saw a man looking at me, yes, with his eyes. And then he picked up a tube, and he looked in the tube, and he made the moon big inside the tube. The moon big inside the tube. Oh, telescope.
Wise words there, Moon. Thank you. But it does pretty much play the same as the day version of Foy, which isn't a bad thing, really. Hurtgen Night, I haven't actually been able to find a server that's been playing Hurtgen Night. So the footage you're seeing here is from my own private content creation server. And you can see that it has really thick fog. And I can just imagine this map almost being like a visibility nightmare. Yes, the Muzzle Flash, which we'll get into a bit later on, will help to light up enemy shooters, and you are really going to have to keep an eye on enemy flanks and attacks from the rear, because sight lines that you could usually use to spot enemy movements are now covered by fog. So I think this map's going to make a lot of people paranoid playing it, constantly checking around the back, and I think it's key to have good garrison placement on this to watch out for those enemy flanks. You know, you need those garrisons down to act as like an early warning system of troop movements. Kursk Night, that map has been transformed really. Again, it's just thick fog, but because of this thick fog, it gives infantry a lot more concealment and chances to move up, because now they can't just get sniped from halfway across the map or taken out by tanks easy from halfway across the map. Like all the other foggy maps, it definitely has this like Silent Hill vibe to it. And I have played this a few times, and I do actually enjoy this map a lot more than the day version. The visibility is limited to really just below 100 meters, I think. Snipers are not pretty much irrelevant. They still have one-hit kills, but I think people are mainly going to be using the semi-auto snipers on this map. But this, in my opinion, is a good night map. Purple Heart Lane at night, for me, just kind of feels really similar to the day version, because the day version had like fog effects as well, so does this one, but it has, you know, a night sky, so it really just plays pretty much the same as the day version, which isn't really a bad thing, but to give the map more uniqueness compared to the original, I think they should, you know, do something to it, or at least on the day version maybe reduce the fog. I don't know, they need to play around with it. The Omaha changes, I like it. I do like the changes to it. Omaha Warfare, it is a great map, but for the Americans, when they get pushed back to their last point, I don't see them fighting back at all. Having to fight back up those cliffs, it is a nightmare for them. They can do it, but it's gonna take a lot of time to do it. But the changes for Omaha are good, and it is still a good map. Now let's get into the gameplay changes that Update 12 has brought in, and the new additions that they brought in as well, such as the flare guns. Now at night, flare guns are a great addition. It is essentially a mini UAV, really. It is just like a UAV. It will show up enemy positions. I think it is a good addition to the game. It's not OP, it doesn't last very long. You can spam it if you use like an ammo crate to replenish your ammo and just keep shooting it up, but I think it is just a little good addition. I don't think it's breaking the game in any way. I would like the flares to be brighter and illuminate the ground a bit more, and during the day I don't see why they should actually work. Yes, they should shoot up into the sky, but I think the area they reveal should be smaller, because, you know, the sun's out. It should be almost like blocking the light from the flare through the light pollution, if that makes sense. And people generally wouldn't be using flares during the day to illuminate something. It'd be more of like a warning flare. We've got 2 new vehicles with the patch, technically, a new Sherman and the Panther's back. If you're new to this channel, then I need to tell you I am not a tank player. I am infantry all the way. I've played this game for over 1,000 hours, and I've maybe played 3 games in a tank. It's just not my thing. I haven't heard that much about the Sherman. I think it's pretty much just a standard medium tank, but from what I've heard about the Panther, it's faster and I think weaker in terms of armor compared to the Tiger, and it has a smaller gun, but the reload speed is a lot quicker. So I think a lot of people now are using the Panther as their main tank. It has the same fuel cost as a Tiger, but a longer cooldown time, which is a bit strange. So I think they need to maybe balance it a little bit more. We got 2 new commander abilities, the ammo drop and the precision strike. The ammo drop, I'm not going to call it useless, but it drops down ammo in a crate. The likelihood of you running out of ammo in Hell Let Loose before you die, realistically, is quite small, unless you're playing the AT role and you need to resupply your rockets. But generally, when you're in that situation where you need to keep restocking your rockets, someone in your squad should be playing a role that can drop down the explosives ammo crate. I think the cost of using the ammo crate compared to getting someone to say play support, it's too much and it's kind of pointless. I have heard of some people using an ammo crate as a decoy for an airhead. I haven't come across that myself yet, but it would be good to see if that actually works. We also have the Precision Strike, which brings in a plane or two based on your faction to put down just a small but heavy barrage onto a single sort of area or target, and it has the capability to destroy a heavy tank and just do a lot of damage. Now, a lot of people don't like the Precision Strike because of its ammo cost and the cooldown. I think a lot of tank players pretty much keep an ear out for these planes coming in and just sort of move out the way if they're quick enough so they don't get destroyed. But from my experience of witnessing the Precision Strike, it can be really, really effective. I do think maybe it just costs a little bit too much munitions though. They've added the ability to interrupt weapon reloads. This is primarily for the bolt action rifle, so when you're loading in individual bullets, you can press fire and it will stop reloading. I think this should have been in the game really when it first released. It's just one of those sort of basic things. When you're reloading individual bullets, you want to be able to stop reloading so you can shoot in an emergency. So it's good that it's in the game and it works. Fortifications can now be snapped together using a certain key binding. The footage you're seeing is me playing on my private server, just testing this out. And yeah, it works. It's like a little bit fiddly. You've got to get the right angle before the snap appears. And when it changes from a green blueprint to a blue blueprint, that means it's snapped. And yeah, once it's snapped, it works and it's great. But yeah, it is a little bit fiddly, but you cannot snap it at angles at all, which I'd like to see them do in a future update. So at the moment, you can really only make lines of fortifications. You can't make any other sort of shapes. You can't make right angles. You can't do any sort of like hexagonal structures, but you can also snap these barricades to different fortification types. So if you want to put barbed wire next to a barricade, that works. If you want to attach barbed wire or a barricade to a bunker on any of the three outside edges of the bunker, it works. So you can make a decent looking fortification. I think they just do need to make it so you can rotate at the angle where it snaps on to the previous fortification. The updated stat screen is a nice touch. I think a lot of people will be worried that adding in more stats, which I think will be coming to a career page on the main menu at some point, will turn the game more into a KD fest, but I don't think it will. Having these expanded personal stats is good in my opinion, and I like that it tracks your longest kill and longest headshot. I was going to go for a longest kill ever record in Hell Let Loose, going from one side of the map to the other, but players only render in up to 500 meters, and because of this I've tested it. When you shoot someone who is beyond that 500 meter mark, it doesn't register the hit, so that's a bit disappointing. But I am looking forward to the career section whenever that comes to the main menu. AT guns have been rebalanced as well. I think they did definitely need it. They were a bit too strong against enemy tanks, being able to take out heavies, I think, in 2 shots. I'm not sure how many shots it takes now, but the balance was needed. If anyone's got some more input on using them now, are they too weak versus tanks? Let me know in the comments below. One of the first things I saw playing update 12 straight away was the blood change. And I think the blood on distance kills is just too much. If you haven't seen my first match video in update 12, which I'll try to remember to link to the top right corner of the screen right now, I pretty much said it straight away, and I was constantly saying it throughout the game. The blood at distance, it is just too much. They need to reduce it. I think some people are saying it's meant to represent that pink mist you get from actually killing someone, or also to help newer players know if they've actually hit someone or not. They can still do that, but maybe reduce the amount of blood that's shown by half, or like 66%. Right now, it's just too much. Muzzle Flash and light generated from rockets and tank shells have been updated. I think they mainly did this for the night maps, so it'll be easier to spot people shooting in the night, and for the rockets and tank shells just to dynamically light up the environment a bit more. And it does its job. It looks nice. It is easier to spot people when they're shooting at night. But one thing I've noticed is that the player muzzle flash, like the first person shooting muzzle flash, doesn't light anything up, which is just odd. And I don't think they've done this through like an optimization thing. It wouldn't make sense to say remove one set of dynamic lights generated from a player, yourself, and not just remove it from, you know, someone else that's shooting off in the distance. And I don't think it's a bug either, because it's immediately noticeable. What I think this is probably like a player comfort thing, because shooting at night and having your entire cover or whatever you're next to light up may be a bit too much for certain people. That's the only reason I can think of, but many other games, or pretty much every first-person shooter, I think, will light up your environment when you're shooting. So I don't know why they've done it. It is just strange. I'd like to see them add it in, and if it's too much for certain players, just put an option in to turn it on or off. Why not? They do it for the first-person bullets. You can turn them off. So just do that as well. So what about the next update? Update 13. What's it going to be? When is it going to be? So generally, I think the updates come in like 6 months. The console update 12 will be coming earlier than that, I hope, because then it'll bring it up to date with the PC version. But we're talking about the next major update overall. And I think this could be December, January time. Maybe a little bit delayed, because I think update 12 has been delayed from whatever its original release date was. There was nothing announced, but I think it has been delayed. And we know that the British are in development. So I think update 13 has got to be the British faction, or as it may have now been changed to the Commonwealth faction. And based on their Kickstarter, the British were going to be coming with Operation Market Garden, but Max, the CEO of Black Matter, has said that El Alamein is also in the works, which means the North African campaign looks like it's coming to Hell Let Loose as well, which I am really happy for that, because adding the North African campaign gives us such a different feel of map to play on. Everything at the moment is mud and sort of grass, but adding the North African campaign, while there are some maps that will probably feature like that, you're going to have the sand and more arid textures, and the architecture of the buildings are going to be really different. So it's going to be something that feels just so different compared to what we have in the Western Front and the Eastern Front currently. Also, there is an Eastern Front map in development. I've heard some people say that's been officially announced, but from the Hell Let Loose communication, there's nothing on there, but I know there is an Eastern Front map in development. So I really hope the British or the Commonwealth come in with update 13. I just want to get my hands on a Lee Enfield, a Sten, and a Bren gun. It's just going to be so good. I hope you liked this look at update 12 for Hell Let Loose. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe for more Hell Let Loose content, and thank you for watching.